what kind of training do you need to get into content creation and do the type of things that you're doing today? Or is it just self-learn and is that good enough?
Yeah, I do think that it can be enough. So that's the caveat is that I think it can be. I think it's wherever your passion is driving you towards. I absolutely do not believe that you need to go to school for it. I think that school is, and I think you'll probably agree with me on this, like it's more about networking than learning maybe the technical attributes of like how to be a filmmaker or things like that. This is just again today. I'm sure like back then, it had a lot of value to offer. You would use equipment that wasn't available to you, whereas like we can today afford a lot more gear to be able to do the things that we want to do versus before.
You mentioned passion a few times and it's a recurring thing. And it sounds like storytelling is an aspect of passion. What about the people that are not so passionate? Is there a avenue for them to get in? Is it still worth it for them to kind of pursue a career in content creation? Could it be used as a skill set to complement other industries? And
Absolutely, I think so. I think it's an helpful tool. So even if you are not a filmmaker, like a storyteller, you can still use the marketing advantage to it. Like if you have a business, restaurant or whatever, you can use filmmaking in a way that can advance your business. So absolutely, there are ways that you can use this to your advantage. You don't have to be like a Steven Spielberg. You don't have to be one of those type of people. But for sure, like it's a tool, right? Like at the end of the day, why not? You don't have to be
Mhm.
master at it. You can absolutely use it for your advantage.
How would you go about that business that maybe wants to manage budget a little bit, can't afford all of the big cameras, the lights? Is an iPhone good enough? And
Yes. In fact, let's say if you can afford all the fancy stuff, hold yourself back, test yourself, whether you actually want to do this, whether you actually have a desire and kind of like to roll back to the word passion for it, but use your iPhone, use what's around, test yourself, not on the basis of the gear that I have, but the desire that I have. So if you just point an iPhone at you, you can do a lot of the same things. In fact, the iPhone may have a lot more better quality than what we were using back then. So yeah, I would actually say hold back. If there's one advice that I would give to myself, if I can go back, is don't spend any of the money that I did. I spent a lot.
but let's talk about the advanced user for a second. What are the areas that they need to learn about?
So let's just kind of put this like out of the way because like it's a given. Story, story, story.
It's
Right? Like
like it never changes from the novice to the expert.
this will never ever change. It doesn't matter in what industry advertisements for businesses. Oh, it's not a movie, but it's telling a story. So if you're trying to sell something, you have to figure out how do human beings connect with stories? When you're trying to sell them something, how do you touch their heart? How do you touch their minds? This is the thing that you need to like dominate in. That you need to figure out how do human beings perceive stories? How do they connect all this stuff? Okay, that's a given. Like real estate, location, location. Okay, in filmmaking, story, story, story. Figure that out. I
So
would
how would you
say
prioritize it? Let's say you can put audio first or you can put
yes.
lights
I would
first.
audio for sure. Like think about this. Could you watch a video with no audio? It's very hard. Maybe a minute. Like what? Okay, I'm watching something. What is it like?
Yeah.
But think of a podcast. Think of the radio. No video, but you can hear, and you're stuck to it. You can listen to it for hours.
Even audiobooks.
Even audiobooks. So
Yeah.
audio is for sure the dominance. For
Okay.
sure the
So,
king.
okay. What do you put second?
Lights.
Okay.
Yeah. So because if you think about what movies are, it's optics, right? It's a vision. Now, when we as human beings look at vision, everything that we see is 3D. Light is what separates. Like everything that you see here is separated by light. So the vision that you're trying to tell, there are things in that vision that you're highlighting and that you're darkening. that has importance and that doesn't have importance. Light does all of this. So if there's one thing that I would do is I would spend more, I would go back and like, dude, like learn lighting, learn how to create shadows, which creates depth.
We already know storytelling is zero. That's like the ultimate one that's applicable. So
top, yes,
yeah.
on a
So
pyramid.
then that aside, sound, lights, what do you put it third?
What I would put third? Okay, now we're getting into maybe lenses, because the lens will. So, for example,
So that's quality then. If you're saying lens, you're saying quality of the video. The
well,
lens is going to be tied to
it
that.
can be, but what I'm saying is not so much about the quality, but about the aspect ratio. So we know that the different type of effects that our minds perceive things, like if you have like a close-up shot, what does that mean? If you have something, let's say,
Okay, I see.
right? So it tells a story. It's framing the story. It's framing.
Fourth and last one is your set.
I'll probably put camera in this order because
Oh, so you're going to separate lenses away from camera,
yes,
camera bodies.
because if you think about cameras, they have different frame rates that they can shoot. So, for example, if you think about a Jackie Chan movie or something like that, say Jason Bourne identity movie, where if you've seen those fighting sequences and they're fast, so if you need something that can shoot at high frames per second, right? So you might need slow motion. So you might need a global shutter instead of a rolling shutter, which means if you shake the camera really really fast, and then you look at the frames, all the frames and all the lines are straight. Whereas if you use like the DSLR, cheaper cameras, it looks like it's bending. So depending on what your story is about, what kind of a story that you're telling, you might need a certain type of camera that offers this capability.
And then the set,
Mhm.
fifth.
And I would just say, as far as set goes, most of all of us live in a house, right? So we have a set, right? You have a kitchen, so just kind of like create a story the story takes place in the kitchen.
Right.
So that's the only reason why. It's kind of like you don't have to work so much hard at it, because you can use existing places that you already know and have. But obviously, if you are doing something a little bit more technical or creative, sure, you can use like a green screen like we do and stuff like that, and stuff like that comes into play.
You could definitely work with it wherever you live right now. You can make a story around your room if that's all you have. You're renting one room in a house.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a whole story in a room, and it can be
Absolutely.
multiple personalities. Throw on the mop as your hair.
Right,
You know,
right.
you can make the story happen. So yeah. So to just recap the order, we got obviously storytelling being the ultimate above all else, and then we have sound first, lighting second, lenses third, the camera body fourth, and then the set
Mhm.
fifth. And that order is kind of what we're concluding on. That's for the people that want to kind of progress and what they could start tackling one after another to kind of understand how they're going to perfect the craft. But let's say someone is average, right? They've kind of
Mhm.
figured, dabbled, done a little bit of this and that. What kind of careers can they then expect?
There are tons of fields that you can use your skills as a filmmaker to go into those fields and use that to your advantage. But again, marketing would be like, especially because we live in a digital age, social media, like, we have some friends that are in the food restaurant business. We have some friends that are in the car shop businesses and so on. And so every one of these areas that you can use this skill to go into that market and use it to your advantage. Have jobs.
If you had to start somewhere, what platform would you pick and why?
Sure. And by the way, this list changes the order. So maybe you'll see YouTube being popular now, and then Rumble might take over later. When we upload videos, we target all of them, right? We want to upload to Rumble, want to upload to YouTube, because the thinking process behind that is, who knows? Like, what if I did upload also on Rumble and then someone picked that up? And that was the beginning of that career. Like, what if there was someone there who's on that platform checking that out? So I think if I was to give a recommendation, because I don't have a favorite, I really don't have a favorite, I would say upload them all on free. My rule is, if it's free, use it. If it's free, why not? You know?
Yeah,
But YouTube it's going to be as of right now, YouTube is still the dominant.
yeah. Let's say someone is a freelancer and they just want to create content. They have their portfolio and everything. What would be some techniques on getting clients? Like if you wanted to do something for a business, like how are you going to approach them? And
Yeah, I think so. Family, friends, birthdays, even if they don't need it, can I still do it? Because you have now content. This is what we do actually. Literally, you're podcasting. What I'm doing, it all starts from our people around us, our friends, and like, okay, they have a friend, and then they have a friend, and it just kind of like spreads and blossoms and starts to grow.
yeah, I think that's definitely a good approach where you start off small, you do your friends and family, you become that person that's known to do video
Yes.
or photography. And then when they go out, now they're your ambassadors
Yes.
where they're like, when the conversation comes up, oh, I know one person,
Mhm.
this is his number. If you had to do it all over again, is there anything that you would do differently?
If I can go back in time, I wish I could have done it earlier. I would have not have wasted the years that I did. I would have just gone fully into it. I had no one tell me, hey, this is actually a skill, man. So maybe go back earlier and tell myself, hey, like some kind of role model. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I know
It's-
that's actually perfect.
yeah.
I mean, I think what you just said and what you're alluding to is have a mentor. Something that would have taken you 16 hours to figure out, they could tell you in 16 minutes and get you there a lot
Right.
faster. So it's going to reduce the pain going through the industry and learning. So I think one, start
Right.
soon and early. Two, if you do have a mentor that can help you with removing some of the roadblocks or someone to bounce ideas off of, that's also going to be very helpful to getting to your final destination a lot quicker. Whether it turns out to be a passion, awesome, or whether you end up using it for as an
Moneymaker.
auxiliary tool, it's going to be good even in conversational settings.